Again to Reading Between the Lines, where I take you with me on my research as I look into hidden secrets from history. And today it looks like I found a connection between the flat earth and Tartaria, and I think I can explain why so many people, or there's so many clues that link Tartaria to the early colonies, to the early colonization of North America. So we're starting with this. It's basically, this was written in 1883. It's telling a story about 1883. It was released in 1904. It's basically a pamphlet of propaganda. There's even advertisements in it for the Grand Hotel. They don't tell you that's what it is, but if you just read through it, you can tell. It's the discovery of America and the conquest of the Moors by the Spaniards. And there's the first advertisement. They just keep interspersing that in here. But, oh, it's Christopher Columbus. I didn't know he looked like that. Anyway, he looks almost cartoonish there, doesn't he? So, you could tell that it's a piece of propaganda just by reading it, but this right here actually is the first clue. Let's see. I could read that for you guys real quick. That the general public, and especially the young of our land, may process in condensed form and become thoroughly familiar with the causes which led to the discovery of America by Christopher Columbus in 1492, out of which grew the revival and final establishment of the heliocentric system and also the government of the United States, proves the incentive for the publication of this work. So, there's an incentive to write this, and the incentive is to cement the final establishment of the heliocentric system, as well as the government of the United States. Isn't that creepy? And also make sure that Christopher Columbus is the one who gets credit for everything. And look, entered in according to the Act of Congress in the year 1883. Which act was that, per se? I'm gonna have to look it up, but it just sounds a little bit like a propaganda act. I don't know. We'll see. I'll have to look it up. So then it just goes on to tell a flowery story about Christopher Columbus and the Moors here. And it's weird. It talks about the Moors and Tartary and how they just had these magnificently decorated palaces made of marble, and they're so beautiful. And then it just kind of skips to, hold on. Then it skips to Christopher Columbus just appealing to Queen Isabella to reach. He was actually he was trying to get to Tartary. That's what's so important. But I don't know why they built up the Moors like that and then just skipped to this part. But it says he formed the conclusion, this is Columbus, he formed the conclusion that if Marco Polo reached India, the kingdom of the Grand Khan of Tartary, by traveling eastward, he could certainly reach the opposite coast of India by sailing westward. So he was trying to get to Tartary. And you know how they call Native Americans Indians? What if they called North America Tartaria for a while? I have the feeling that they did. And I think that that's where all those references are. Whenever it's in literature or, in art, when they're saying the Tartaria, like the Thomas More poem with the Veiled Prophet about Tartaria, I think it's symbolically, for the people of that day, they understood when you said Tartaria that they meant North America, because that's where Columbus was trying to reach. But it's almost like they scrubbed that. They scrubbed that part from the history. So I'm thinking that Tartaria really wasn't a part of the Tartar, all the maps that show Tartaria and the Tartary. I don't think that they were necessarily attached to that kingdom. But when Columbus came here, he may have called it Tartaria because he thought he was going to India, the same reason why we still call the Native Americans Indians. Maybe we used to call them Tartarians. Don't know. So that's my theory on that. But then it goes on, imbued with the belief that he was God's chosen instrument to prove the severity of the earth. He constantly overturned the governments of his day. I mean, it's crazy, the propaganda here. And they just talk about the sphere over and over and over. And they talk about, okay, so I don't know what the Moors even have to do with this. They just say at the same time that Columbus was coming, that Queen Isabella, they attacked the Moors. I don't know what that has to do with anything. And then they go on and make fun of flat earth here. This is more propaganda. They ridiculed this theory of antipodes with their head hanging downwards, and it being contrary to the belief of their theologians and philosophers, in violation of their sacred scripture. See, they're making fun of Christians here. They argued if the world was round, then a vessel attempting to make the ascent of the sphere would fall off into space. Which actually, that's what people, people who believe the heliocentric model say about flat earthers now. So they switched that up a little bit. They also argued that the earth was flat surface bordered by the waters of the sea, on the yielding support of which rested the crystalline dome in the sky, and the sun and the moon and the planets were a subordinate nature. Thus, their use being to give light to man, who is elevated to supreme importance. So, yeah, more of that switcheroo there. So they're just basically saying that man is not important again. And then it says the parasitic geography had governed the Christian church for the 12 centuries and was its authority for rejecting the theory of the sphericity of the earth. So it's become a church against science thing this early. And so yeah, this is just, they go on and on about it. On and on about it. And again, they say Christopher Columbus and his discovery of America, gosh, at least 20 times in this. It's just ridiculous. Okay, and then another ad for the Grand Hotel. Then, okay, so there's more propaganda about the earth being round here. I mean, they really go on and on about it. That's kind of crazy. So he thought he was going to the Indies because the kingdom of the Grand Khan of Tartary was supposed to abound in gold, silver, and precious stones, and to contain inexhaustible wealth, which would inure to the benefit of Spain. So was that really the kingdom of the Grand Khan, or did they know something about North America? I don't know. But I really think that that's why Tartaria, the references in literature and everything is called Tartaria. I really don't think that it's ever been the same kingdom as Genghis Khan's kingdom. Anyhow, this just goes on about it. It doesn't get any more interesting, but, except for that picture, wow. It's the Grand Union Hotel in New York City, which is what all the advertisements are about. Look at that. That's insane. That is so big and pretty. So there we are, folks. We've got Flat Earth and Tartaria in the same little pamphlet, as well as a bunch of government-sponsored propaganda. And I just wanted to share that with you. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you later.